It is Monday, August the 19th, and today we are going to be talking about teaching your child responsibility. So before we get started, I'd like you to put in the comments section where you're from. Say hello and tell me where you're from, and let me make sure that my chat is on. I'll tell you what happened. My internet just went down for a second. So I think we're back up and in business, but if for some reason we're not, I apologize. But go in and say hello and tell me where you're from. I'm not seeing the chat pull up here for some reason. I'm looking at that. I love technical difficulties. Isn't that amazing? Okay. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But I want to, before we get into teaching responsibility, which is such an important thing you need to teach your children from a very, very young age, I just want to say thank you to those of you who have joined the Common Sense Parenting with Pam group. I just released that on Friday, and we already have 320 members from around the world, which I love, 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 because we get to learn from each other, and I think it's phenomenal. So that group is open to moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, expectant parents who want to learn more about parenting. I even have a lot of grandparents raising grandchildren, but I also have grandparents who aren't necessarily raising grandchildren, but they have them. And, parenting is a lot different than it was when we were growing up in many ways. And so they want to learn from that. And you're welcome. Okay, you're welcome in that group. Please share that with friends that you think would want to join. The more the merrier. I love that. Now that differs from my Mom Connection Common Sense Parenting, which is a private paid Facebook group that is only for moms. And currently that membership is closed. I don't open that up again until November, enrollment for December addition to our group. So I keep that small. I think right now we have 6 people in it. We get a lot more connection one-on-one. I do a Zoom every Sunday night at 8 o'clock p.m. So we're able to really dig deep and get to know each other and really support and help each other. So that's an option down the road. If it's something you're interested in, I'll be putting out information about that later. Okay. Some of you have gone ahead and pre-ordered the ebook I'm writing called Managing Behaviors, A Common Sense Approach. And it's about discipline versus punishment, accountability, consequences, all of that good stuff, right? So launch date is August 28th, and I will have it done before then, I hope. Fingers crossed. I'm halfway through the book already. I like to get my things done early, but hopefully it'll be finished by then. So for those of you who ordered it at the discount rate, awesome, you're going to save some money. For those of you who still would want to order it, just go to PamelaPalanza.com and look on the second page, maybe. If you click on where my content is, you'll see it says at the bottom, I am responsible. No, never mind that. That's the chart I'm going to tell you about in a minute. I've got so much content I'm creating. Go to the second page. Go to the first page, click on behaviors, behavior management. And, right-hand side, you're going to see featured item. And that's where the book is listed. And you can click on that if you're interested in purchasing it. After I release it, it goes up to the regular price. So you want to snatch out early if you can. Okay. I did a reel a couple days ago about a child forgetting their lunch again. And what would you do? Because I sometimes do these what would you do scenarios. And the response to that was overwhelming. It was like 3,000 people commented. There may have been more. But the majority said they would take the child lunch or make sure they got it somehow. Uber Eats, DoorDash, whatever. And some of the responses were really quite astonishing to me. And what I gathered from all of that is that people are not teaching their children responsibility at a young age or at all, which is sad for me, for the kid, because that's your job as a parent, to raise your children to be responsible adults, right? So let me pause here for a second and do this. So that right there, if you're new here, that's because my cat has anxiety and she hides in my closet. I'm not trying to show you my closet. It's pretty organized, but I'm not trying to show you my closet. So that's what that's all about, in case you're wondering. I have people ask me sometimes. And you know what? My chat is not pulling up. I'm not seeing. If you are sending me anything in chat, I am not seeing it, and I don't know why. Let me see if I can look over here. I'm not the most tech savvy. I will tell you that. Yeah, I'm not seeing where it went. And let me go back, because now I lost everybody. There we are. Nope, cancel that. Okay, now I got to get myself back. I don't know where I went. And now crazy stuff is pulling up on my thing here. Okay, wait a minute. Let me see if I can get me back here. This is too funny. Nope, I do not want to end this. I'm sorry, guys. This is so funny. I may have to end it and start back again, because I don't know where I went. Well, there I am. Whoop, whoop, I found me. Now if I can just maximize that. Here we go. Nope. This is a riot. How do I enlarge this? Let me see what it says. Stream preview. It's not letting me. I can't see a large one of it. This is so funny. Okay. I know somebody out there knows exactly what to do. But I am not. Here we go. Stream. Nope. Okay. Well, you know, I'm just going to leave it. I'm down here in the corner on my computer. I'm going to leave it right there, and we're going to talk. Okay. So it was surprising to me not teaching children responsibility. And it's so important that you do that, that you stop bailing your kids out, coddling your kids, fixing things for them. Because when they become adults, then they don't know how to do things for themselves. And that's a disservice to your child. And you don't want to have to be bailing them out all the time, I'm assuming, or fixing everything for them, because they're not learning independence, they're not learning problem solving, they're not learning responsibility for their own actions. And you can start at a young age. I mean, you can start with a 2-year-old and put a sock on their hand, and they can help dust, you know, quote unquote dust, which they're not really doing anything, but they can help dust around the house. So there's things that you can do to teach your children responsibility. And it's really important. And I'm going to give you an example. My son was 10. He got homework. He came home from school. He knew he had homework. But he said, can I play video games for a little bit first? I said, sure. You know, play video games, have dinner, get your homework done. And I reminded him, after we ate, time to do your homework. Well, unbeknownst to me, he went and played video games. And he never did his homework. So what do you think happened the next morning? He came to me and he said, oh my gosh, I didn't do my homework. Could you write the teacher a note? And I said, no, not writing her a note. You were supposed to do your homework. Why didn't you do your homework? Well, I got busy playing my video games and I didn't do it. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm not writing you a note. Well, I'm going to get in trouble at school. And I said, that's called natural consequences. You had a responsibility. You're 10 years old. You knew it. I reminded you. You chose not to do it. So now when you go to school, you're going to have to face any of the consequences that that teacher has for you. And when you come home, you're going to have consequences, because from now on, you're going to do your homework before you'll be able to play video games. That's just a consequence. It's a logical consequence, right? I didn't scold him. I didn't yell at him. I didn't punish him. I just said, well, you were responsible. You didn't do it. That's what's going to happen. And guess what he never did again? Forget to do his homework. Right? Because he knew I wasn't bailing him out. And he knew he was going to have problems at school. And he knew when he come home, things were going to change as far as his privileges to play his video games. So those are the kind of things I'm talking about. With your young children, I mean, from the time they're little, they need to learn. You play with a toy, you put it away. That's teaching them responsibility. When you clean up behind them all the time, you're teaching them they don't have to do it because you're going to fix it for them. You're going to do it for them. Okay? Give them things to do to teach them responsibility, like cleaning up the room, like doing chores around the house, like taking care of a pet. And let's talk about that for a minute. How many of you have had children who have said, please, 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 can we get a dog or a cat? I promise, I'll feed them, I'll walk them, I'll change a kitty litter, I'll do everything for them. And you go, okay, sure, not a problem. And then what happens? Who ends up doing it? Taking care of the dog or the cat? Hello, been there, guilty. Okay, but it's your responsibility as a parent to say, you know what, you wanted the pet, This is what you told me you were going to do. Now you need to make sure you make it happen. And if that's something you're not capable of doing, or choose not to, then the options are maybe we give the pet away, maybe to somebody who's going to be more responsible and take care of the pet. Maybe I have to do it now because you're not willing to do it, and we love this pet. We don't want to lose the pet or get rid of them. So how are you going to compensate me for that? Have them do extra chores around the house. Have them go out and mow the grass if they're old enough. Whatever it is you decide. But you just don't go, okay, never mind, I'll fix it for you. I'll handle it. You say, well, no, we need to talk about this because that was your responsibility. And you've chosen not to do it. So how are we going to fix this? How are we going to compensate or make amends for this? So you have to stay strong with this. Oftentimes, it's so much easier to just do it for them, to fix it and make it easier because you're tired, you don't have the time. It's just easier. And I get it. I understand. I totally get it. Trust me. I had 4 kids. I totally understand this. But you're not teaching them anything. And when you're doing something for them, you're not giving them the opportunity to do for themselves, to problem solve, to be independent. And I love the comments I got on the reel where some schools now have a policy. They're not taking forgotten homework, forgotten lunches, forgotten school clothes, PE clothes, band instruments. They literally have signs on the door that say, if you're here because your child forgot something, you're bringing it, turn around and go home. Your child can figure out how to problem solve on their own. Giving them that opportunity. And I love that. Okay. So teaching them that responsibility. And we all know adults or friends who were catered to as children, did not have to take responsibility for themselves. And then as adults, they can't function when they go in the workplace or they go to college or something because they didn't have to. They don't know how to do that. It's a skill that they're lacking that they should have been taught at an early age. Okay, and let's talk about school stuff. So let me go back. I'm really sorry I can't see these comments. I would love to be able to answer your questions right now, and I can't. And I'll have to figure this out later, but I apologize for that. You can always put them in, because this will download to my Facebook page as soon as we're done, about a minute or two after. You can always put comments in there, or just go, if you want to join my group, the Common Sense Parenting with Pam group. It's a free group. Go and join there. That's what we do. We ask questions and everybody answers them. So put the questions in there. But let's talk about school. So school starting for some kids it's already started. And your child should be responsible for getting themselves up in the morning, and even if they're in kindergarten and they're 5, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, and making sure they have their backpack packed and their water bottle and their lunches in their their backpack, or money for lunch, or whatever it is they do. They have their snacks. They have PE clothes, band instruments, whatever it is they need to have. Okay? And in the reel I did about the lunches, I cannot tell you the number of parents who said things like, well, I forget things. I have ADD. I forget them. My husband brings them to me. My father brings them to me. So it's okay if my kids do. And here's what I'm saying to you. No, it's not. No. Stop making excuses for your children because they might have a differing ability. What you need to do instead is teach them coping strategies, mechanisms, processes, create checklists, give them strategies for how they can start remembering those things. Just saying, he's ADHD, he forgets. Oh, well, it's okay. No, it's not okay. No, it's not. Because he or she needs to learn how to manage that as a child, because they're going to go out in the world and you're not going to be there to go, oh, I'll bring it to you. No. They have to learn how to manage that on their own. And I have experience with this. I know of what I speak. And I used to work with children with differing abilities. And we treated them like we treated every other child. Okay? Now, I know in some cases there are some extreme situations. I get that. But for the most part, just because they have ADD is not an excuse to let them not manage their time properly, to keep forgetting things, keep misplacing things. So stop making excuses and instead help your children figure out how to manage it. Does that make sense? And I'm not criticizing by any means. I'm just saying, honestly, there are ways you can manage these things more effectively. It makes them feel good about themselves. They become more independent. They're responsible. They problem solve. Yay! That's what we want them to do. Okay, so let's go back to You've got a child, say, going to kindergarten. A couple weeks before school starts, or if school's already started, maybe your children are older, you've never done this before, get them an alarm clock. The alarm goes off, that signals them they need to get up. Now, this might take a while for them to get in the habit of it if they're not used to being awoken by an alarm clock, but you need to keep being consistent with it. Let them know, time to get up. I'm going to give you one warning. Come on, you got to get up. And then they get up, or not. And if they don't, there's some consequences. Maybe they don't have time to eat breakfast. Maybe they don't get their lunch packed. Maybe they forget their water bottle. There's going to be consequences, right? Natural consequences. So you get them up with the alarm, and then you have a schedule for them. Post it where they can see it. Brush your teeth, come downstairs, get dressed, come down, have breakfast, pack your lunch, or you can pack it, put it in your backpack. Do you have snack money? Do you have your snack? Check everything on this checklist, right? And they physically check it off. Now they've taken responsibility for making sure. Now, if you want to go behind and double check when they're not looking, that's fine too. But check, right? Based on that reel and the responses I had from people, I created a checklist. It's $1.97. It's on my Facebook, my PamelaPalanza.com. You can buy it or not. You try to shove sales down anybody's throat. It's just a tool that you're welcome to use. You can copy it as many times as you want and use it, right? This is for like when they're going out the door. Put it on the door before they go out. Lunch money, lunch packed or whatever. Check. Okay, so have a schedule for them when they first get up, what they need to do. And if they're young, like in kindergarten, maybe they're not reading so well, have pictures of what they need to do. And then you have one before they go out the door that says, do you have your lunch? Do you have this? And then when they come home, we'll have another one. Do they have after school activities? Do they have homework that has to be done? Do they have a special project they're working on? What is it? Have a checklist for it. Your kids are older. They can set alarms on their phones. We know the children, when they're older, have phones glued to their sides. They can set reminders. They can put notes in their phone. You can do the same thing. So instead of excusing the behavior and bailing them out for it, you teach them how to compensate for it. Does that make sense? Right? Teach them the skills. I'll tell you, 2 of my kids were in the Army. They were captains in the Army. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, everything is about processes and strategies. Everything. That's what is drilled into their heads in the military. Processes and strategies. This happens. How are we going to handle it? What are we going to do? What's the process? What's the strategy for making it happen? Same thing in your house. Okay? Not that you're in the Army or your kids are in the Army, but just make it simple for them. If your child struggles with remembering things, or you do, make a checklist. Set a reminder on your phone. Have an alarm go off. Have a notes section in your phone. Your kids can do the same thing. Because teaching them responsibility is going to pay off for them in the long run. You do not want to be taking care of your child the rest of your life because you have raised them to not be responsible, and now they have trouble functioning in the world. Okay? One of the comments that totally blew me away was a mom that said, every single time I bail my children out, I take them whatever they need when they forget it. And my daughter, who's 17, is at university, forgot her homework the other day, and I took it to her. That to me was, I was speechless for a second, and I'm not normally speechless. If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm not speechless. That one really threw me for a loop because I was like, holy cow, this poor child. I didn't think, oh, wonderful mom. I thought, this poor child. And I did a reel about this last night about why people choose to coddle their children or bail them out. And this came, we have about 12 minutes left. Okay. This came about from a conversation with my 24-year-old daughter last night. And I told her about the reel, about the lunches and some of the responses, and she was just astonished as I was about some of the responses. And she said, Mom, why do you think people keep doing that? Why is it? And she said, my thoughts are that you have people who want to feel good about themselves. It's not about teaching their children what they need. It's about people will think I'm a good mom. My child will love me better if I cater to them and I cuddle them and I do everything for them, they'll think I'm a good mom, and that makes me feel good about myself. And I want people to think I'm a good mom, so I'm going to do everything for my child. Everything. Could be. And then she said, and then you have people maybe who grew up in a home that wasn't great, and they weren't parented the way that they would have loved to have been parented. So they decided when they had children someday, they were going to parent in a way that they wish they had been. But the trouble is they overcompensate. So instead of saying, my home wasn't great growing up, these are things I want to do and make sure my kids have. So they either buy their kids everything, they do everything for their children aren't disciplined the way they need to be because, maybe they were harshly disciplined as children. So just throwing that out there for consideration. I did a reel last night on it. I've had some interesting comments back. I'll check those when we're done here. But just think about that. What is your motive? What is your motive? Because a lot of people said, that's my job as the mother. That's my job to make sure my child has their lunch. No, it's your job to provide the food to make sure your child has the lunch. Some children pack their own lunches. You can pack your child's lunch, but they need to remember to grab it. You can remind them, hey, don't forget your lunch on the way out the door. But if they forget that, or they forget their homework, or they forget their backpack, or they forget their water bottle, that's not on you. That's on them, because that's their job. They need to be the one responsible for that. And like I said, start them young. Don't wait. Don't wait, because when they get older, they push back. They're like, I'm not doing it because I don't have to. Why should I do it? I know my mom's going to bail me out, right? And some kids intentionally will forget their lunches because they don't want to eat what you packed. So they're going to forget their lunch, or they're going to deliberately miss the bus because they know if they miss the bus, because maybe they don't want to ride the bus, so they know if they miss the bus, you're going to pick them up and take them to school because you can and you're willing to. Okay? When I was growing up, they didn't have cafeterias in my school. We ate in the auditorium. You packed your lunch and you ate in the auditorium. That was just so relaxing. You're sitting with food all over your lap. But that's what we had. So here were my options. I could take my lunch, sit in the auditorium and eat my lunch. If I forgot my lunch, there's no cafeteria. My mother was working. She's not coming to bail me out. So here's what I could do. Walk a mile home, make my own lunch, and walk a mile back to school in 30 minutes. That we had 30 minutes for lunch. And I did that many times, especially as I got older. I chose to walk home. I didn't want to eat in the auditorium, so I chose to walk home. But those were the options. Nobody was bailing me out. There was no cafeteria. There was no school accounts, right? So a lot of your kids now have that option at schools. There's a cafeteria. You can put money on an account, or you can call and put money on the account so your child has a meal. They're not going to fall apart, but you need to let them figure that out. Okay, you need to even discuss it ahead of time. Like, hey, if you forget your lunch one day, what do you think you're going to do? Because I can't come bring it to you. So what are your options going to be? And have that conversation. Or if you forget your homework, or if you forget your band instrument, or you don't have your cleats for soccer tonight, what are you going to do? Just have those conversations with them. Okay? So we're almost out of time here, and I don't want to keep beating this over and over and over again. But it's so important your child learns they are responsible for themselves. Yes, you can coach them at first, especially if they're young. I'm not saying you're a militant mom that, like, you do it yourself. I'm saying teach them, coach them, guide them, because that's your job, because you are raising them to do this for themselves someday, that they're not calling you. And I had moms say, I totally overdid it with my child, gave them everything they wanted, did everything for them, and now they're in jail because they made bad choices. Because when they grew up, they couldn't be responsible for themselves. It was always everybody else's fault, or everybody else had to fix it for them. Now, I'm not saying your child's going to end up in jail at all. I'm just saying you're not giving them the tools they need to build a firm foundation under them to carry them through life. And there's so many things they need to learn. Responsibility is just one of them, but it's a big one. And they need to learn it at home when they're in a safe space. Then when they're out in the world and they're university and they say, oh, I forgot my paper, and the professor goes, good, you just dropped a letter grade. And they're like, what? Oh my gosh, what? No, you just dropped a letter grade. You're supposed to have it in, you didn't turn it in. Sorry, that's on you. They're not caving on that. Or they go to work and they show up late chronically because they say, I have ADHD, I can't manage my time well. I slept in again. And the boss goes, well, great, you're fired. We need someone who's going to show up for work on time. Sorry, bye. Okay? It impacts everything they do in their life. Responsibility is one of those foundational things that I talk about, the foundational skills. That is foundational skill that your children need to learn from the time they are young, and they need to have it reinforced by you, okay, or mom, dad, whoever's raising them, reinforced consistently. Now, I know once in a while you may bail them out. Okay, I get it. The world's not going to end. But my children knew 3 strikes. 3 strikes. Forget your lunch. Okay, I might bring it to you because their school did not have a cafeteria, their elementary school. I would take them their lunch if I could. They're in middle school, you forgot your homework. Okay, 1 time. Forgot your book, 1 time. That's it. 3 strikes and you're out. And when I had a discussion with my children, my 24-year-old, my 38-year-old, and my 40-year-old the other day, and I said, I did this reel about lunches. How would you have handled it? And they're like, they go without lunch. Like instantly, they didn't even think to go, oh, why'd call you to bring me lunch? They'd be like, well, then I wouldn't have lunch for the day. Because they knew they had to be responsible. That's what I taught them from a young age. Okay, 5 minutes left. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to get into the comment section. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I apologize again. This is terrible. I can't figure out how to do this. Let me move my light off of here and see what we got here. Pamela Polenta is live now. I don't want to exit it. I don't know. That is just something else. I'm sorry. All right. What I'm going to do then is go ahead and, let me see, distribution. Nope. I'm going to go ahead and be done with this. And then you can put questions. If you want to put questions, once this downloads to my Facebook page, you put questions. I also put this on to my website, PamelaPolanda.com. There will be a tab at the top that says resources and support. And then when you drop down, you'll say Facebook Lives. And you can go back and watch this one. I'll probably have it up later this afternoon or tomorrow. And you can put comments on there. So, and it'll also, like I said, as soon as we're done, generally takes 2 to 3 minutes to download to my Facebook page. And then everything will be there for you to view. If I did this right. Like I said, I'm not technically very savvy with this stuff. I'm learning. So thank you for your patience. Again, thank you for joining the Common Sense Parenting with Pam group. If you have not already, just Google that. Just go to Facebook and look for that. Common Sense Parenting with Pam and just join. We'd love to have you. Like I said, we're at 320. There might be more by now. But anyway, all right, guys. Always, I enjoy being here with you. If you have a topic you would like me to discuss for next week, whenever you can get to the comment section or shoot me a comment on my Facebook page, which, by the way, I'm up to 269,000 followers now. So thank you for that, and thank you for all your support, because I love doing this. Absolutely love doing this. I enjoy getting to know you all, connect with you all, learn, share, connect, teach, all of it. All right, so until next Monday, you have a good one, and I am going to go and try to figure all this out now. And remember, hug and love your babies.